Oops. Hello, Rodney.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
Okay. Well, there's two of us here. This would be successful afternoon. We got two of us, the important people. How are you? So what? So don't. Trini, what's your situation? How long you been on board?
I've been on board for 2 weeks up here in Massachusetts, but I've been with Keller Williams for a little bit over a year down in Florida.
Oh, we're in Florida.
Claremont. It's a small town outside of Orlando.
Gotcha. So close to the Celebration and Kissimmee.
Yep.
Okay. I was down in Florida for the month of April, stealing some time while the weather was terrible here. And I spent most of the time in Marco. I had a couple of deals I was working on down there, and also I've got a deal trying to find a place for a client up here who's selling his place in the Cape and wants to buy down that area. And so trying to figure out where you ought to go. So you know the area. You'd be great maybe talk to you, get a little insight about the area based on what he's trying to do. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'd be more than willing to help. What is your client interested in?
I'll tell you. So he and I can't recall. I get the specifics, but their family lives in Puerto Rico. Their own place in Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, and has the family. A daughter works in the Orlando area, but it's out of Orlando, so I'll know the area it is. It's kind of a little southwest, and she works there. And so, and client, his name is Wadi Duran. He owns a place in the Cape. Ready to go back home. He's made some money here and ready to go. The families are going to all come consolidate to Florida. They're going to keep their place in Puerto Rico, but they want to be there, be close to the families together. And so they're looking for 4-bedroom, 4-bedroom, 2.5 baths. Their budget's probably around 300. They want something that's turnkey. They're nice there. So it doesn't have to, they're not going to use it for rental. They're not going to use it for income property. They're going to live there. But of course, you like to have some good income. So that's what's going on. So maybe I could hook up with you and get some insight about, where down there. And yeah, because I don't know the area at all.
Okay, absolutely. If you want to take my number down,
shoot.
We can it's 617 980
Yep.
7171.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Because I don't know the The only one I know up in that area was Rob Daniels. Rob Daniels lives in Celebration, and he's a MAPS coach. Good guy. He's MAPS coach, and he's done. He's one of the top coaches. Does bowled, and so I got to know him, and I reached out to him because the only one he knew, and he's not taking on business. So he said, I'll find someone out there, but maybe I'd like to pick your brain who you know in the area.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, is that Tommy T down there?
Hey, how you doing?
Who is it?
It's Tom.
I thought I saw Nate Jenkins.
Yeah, I have his login for a different Zoom thing that we do. So when I log in, it puts me in as Nate, but he has a little bit more hair than me.
Okay. I got you there. Okay. Let's give it a few minutes. Let's give a few minutes here before we get started here. Yeah.
Bob, what are you saying about the coaching?
The reason I just raised it is when Rodney came on, I said, so tell me about you. So he just joined here. He was in Florida, and I'm looking for a property for a client up in the Orlando area. And I said, the first one I went to is Rob Daniels. He's a MAPS coach. And he's, a bold instructor, one of the better ones. And so I just reached out to Rob Daniels. That's the only reason that name came up.
Gotcha.
Coaching, but coaching is important. Who do you coaching with anybody?
I am not, but it's just funny you said that because I had a conversation with my loan partner, my lender, that he splits a lot of my marketing costs, and he's a big producer at Guaranteed Rate, and he made that giant step in his business once he started, shelling out the money for the coaching. That put him into the next stratosphere. And then when I met with another person that does my marketing, my social media, he was telling me that all the greats, Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, whatever you want to say, Tom Brady, all these elite people, they have multiple coaches from different facets of their life, right? But they just kind of emphasize the a coaching element is next level kind of things. So it was just funny that you were just talking about as I logged on.
Well, so we got time. We're going to wait the second. Rodney, just a question. Rodney, have you ever had a coach?
No.
Okay. How about this is fair. I'll give you my take on coaching. Coaching is critical. It's the what kind of coaching and how you do it, and there's a lot of things to it, but getting coached, having a coach, or by the way, the other thing is having a mentor. Difference is someone will coach you, meaning they'll coach you on the specifics. A mentor is someone who's out there, who will help you, who kind of guide you on making big decisions in your life, in your business. But boy, I've had coaches. I've been with Keller Williams 14 years, and I've had coaches, many for 14 close to that. And my biggest challenge, I'm so impatient. I've fired so many coaches. I find a coach that doesn't work because chemistry doesn't work, and I'll fire them. Probably shouldn't. They probably ought to fire me. But coaches can really help. I mean, it's simple as accountability. Coach, I mean, it's the first place. I mean, that's what this is about. What we're going to do in the next hour is I'm going to try to coach you. I'm going to try to coach you through a really important aspect of the business, not ongoing, but I'm going to kind of coach you through a way to meet your goals. But for some people, you tell them how to do it, they go off and just do it. It's like done. But most of us, we fall into our own ways. And so without a coach, without someone there who's behind you, who's really holding you accountable, either for very tactical things like just your accountability on some of your basics. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So Tommy, this is interesting, is this topic. It's right on. This is the coaching topic we're going to have right now. That's the kind of role I'm playing at the moment for the next hour. I'm going to try to coach you into something. And I'll tell you, it's 1:03. Hey, Steve, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks, Bob.
Hey,
Uh,
Bob, have you gone externally for your coaching, or have you always stayed within the maps? Because I kind of feel like I've never tried the maps, but I also like, no, I mean, I love Keller Williams. I would think I want something that's a little bit less biased, I guess, or just, neutral.
Well, I'll tell you what, you could just, so we'll get everything done. Here's my thought on it. I've done both, and it depends. And so there's no reason to stay. The reason why I don't see, depending on the type of coaching, and I'll tell you where it's biased and why I went outside for a bit, but I don't worry about the bias. For the things you typically want to be coached on, which is accountability and systems, I don't think being a Keller Williams agent and we're trying to use Keller systems and processes, the MAPS coaches are the best because they know the systems. Having said that, I hired a coach, a MAPS coach, and I actually had 3 of them, and with a specific strategic goal. And let me tell you what it was: is to help me do my exit strategy. Well, I got plenty of hair. I think I'm older than most of you guys, and that's just genes. But I want to be shifting. I want to shift, and at some point in time, step back, and ultimately out. And you got to plan that. And so I hired 3 MAPS coaches, and I fired 3 MAPS coaches. Tommy, for that reason, is they're so biased, and like this is the way they do it. And in fact, they couldn't do it. So the last one, I never even told him. He was coaching me on that, and it wasn't working. But the other things he was doing with me around coaching, around some other aspects of my business, I kept him. I hired another coach outside of Keller Williams. So I was running with 2 coaches. I'm not Tiger Woods by any means, but I had 2 coaches. And I keep my MAPS coach because but the other coach was kind of on a project basis. I said, I want you to help me address this issue. And they were able to do that. And now I know what I need to do. Haven't all done it, but it was kind of a short term. So it's kind of the same thing you said, hire a different coach for what you wanted. I could not find a MAPS coach who really understand and had the experience in the broad business. So I hired another coach. Actually, I'll tell you, it was a coach out of, I don't know if you know the company, what's his name? Adam Herlenraga, the Herd Group. And they're in Keller Williams, but they aren't coaching. He's got one of the biggest businesses. And I hired one of his coaches to help me through it. So Tommy, if you want to chat later, if you want to, drill down more perspective, I'll give you kind of my thoughts. But coaching is good, but you have to be committed to it. If you're going to pay for a coach, you've got to make sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's a big difference between, I guess, an accountability partner that is one of your comrades, where you both can kind of give each other the blow up, versus you're shelling out $500 to $1,000 a month. Like, you'd be a real jerk to. I probably would be that jerk to be wasting the money, but I'm just saying
you can't.
Yeah. Well, one last question on that though, Bob, specifically, do you think there's a big difference between, because it really is about accountability, but do you think there's a big difference between getting a specific real estate coach versus more of a life coach who encompasses just gives you that push in the butt that you need? Or does it have to be a real estate coach to be super successful?
No, it depends on you. If you need help in your real estate area about systems and techniques and accountability, one. But if you don't, there's 3 kinds. A life coach is something else. They're all different. But I tell you what, my guess is, and I'm going to find that out in a few minutes. But let me revisit that at the end of our hour here.
Okay.
And I'll know by asking some questions here, getting through this, I'll do it. So. So here's where we're at. I have, over the last 3 months, and by the way, Kathy Arnold, who's my director of operations, is on the call as well. Kathy is on for a couple of reasons. She and I continuously, we learn from these, but Kathy has really implemented for our team, our accountability system. That's part of her job. And so what I thought when I've committed to the Market Center to do to teach once a month on any subject they'd like me to teach. And what's happened is I've got a couple of different subjects, but for the last 3 months, I have taught a class once a month on this subject, how to achieve your goals. I mean, essentially, how to help you get your accountability system in place. And I'll tell you what's happened. It's enjoyed it. Each time I've done it, it's improved, and what's improved is what I'm teaching, and the methodology has improved just over 3 months. And so I'm gaining that, and we're implementing better systems. So the reason I continue to do it is because it's good. I believe in it. It works for us, and I want to share that. I want to share some things that I believe in and that works for me. If I'd say the most disappointing part of it is that the people who have attended, so one is the volume, the number of people have attended is not real high. Question is, people get attracted to what they think is important. So does this catch your eye? Second thing is, but most importantly, is the people who have come and participated in this have learned a lot, said they're going to use it, but have not. And it begs the question, what's the problem here? Are we getting people who are not committed, who don't like to be held accountable, who are unwilling, or does the system that I'm suggesting, I'm going to propose a technique, a tool for doing it, or is it just more complicated? So we may have someone coming on board who was on the last session, who I said, boy, this person is motivated. They're doing it. They're doing something similar. It's a lot of work because it's manual. And I gave him, I thought, a simple tool. And I checked in with him a couple of days ago and said, how's it going? I'm teaching again. I want to take any feedback. And he said, Bob, he said, really good. He says, but I've struggled. I haven't really implemented it. And he gave me a couple of reasons, and I understood it. And so that's the learning. So the question is, it would be such a win, such a win for me if I could find people who want to implement things, who will follow up. And I'm available to continue to work with you on it. And I'm doing one on, coming up on a user group on command, how to really not use command, how to make command part of your business. And that's my goal. I don't want to teach for teaching's sake. And so that's my objective in this, is to share some things that work, things that we use on our team that work, and then be available to help you and to coach you. And I'm not taking on a coaching job, but over time, so that you can use the system. And then as you struggle with it, I believe in it, and I'd work with you. Or not, if you just take it and run. So that's my preamble. That's my pitch. That's what I'm trying to do. And so here's what I ask you all. So to start off is, do each of you got business? Do each of you have a goal for the number of deals that you're going to close this year? How many closings? Do you have goals for, the number of dollar in sales, which is essentially the number of deals times the average deal size? Do you have goals for your income goals, your gross commission income, which is the deal size times the number of deals times the average commission? And do you have goals for your net profit, which is if you sell so many deals at this volume and you get commission into you of that gross commission, do you understand what your expenses are? And do you have a way to manage that so that when you get that income and then you take out your expenses, and you should have some profit left over after you pay yourself and pay your expenses. So I'm just curious as to all of this. Do you do any of this? How much of this, and it's okay if there's none, but do you have, first thing, does everybody have a goal of how many deals you want to close in 2021? Rodney, do you have a goal?
Yeah, I want to finish out the year with at least 8.
Okay. I'm just getting a note here, my note paper. Okay, so your goal is to close 8 deals. Tommy, what about you?
Leon, my goal was 36 units.
So Tommy, okay. 36 units, okay. And how about you, Steve?
Mine was just 10.
10. And Teresa, hello, Teresa.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. Do you have a number? Do you have a goal for deals this year?
I was just talking to Bill Stone about this and I said 10 to him. I mean, that's what I'm hoping.
Okay. Well, okay. And our goal for this year, and Bob, I have a team. Bob's goal is 55. I've been doing this for a while and I have a team, and so it's taken a while and I'm not there yet. And I'm through the year and we're behind. I tell you, we're behind. And now the question is, what do we do to fix it? Hey, Teresa, could I just ask you a question, kind of a side question?
Of course, yes.
And I just forget, did you call me 3 or 4 weeks back about a listing you were working on in Newton?
No, I wish that were me, but it wasn't.
All right, someone did. I was away. And I followed up initially. I didn't follow up, and it just occurred to me something. Okay, it wasn't you. Okay.
No, but thank you.
So here's the second question. I'm taking this down. So Rodney, here we are. We're at the end. We're midway through May. Where are you compared to your goals? So through the end of May, how many of the 8 deals, how many have you closed?
0.
Okay. Tommy, you got 30, you had 30, and don't worry about if you have a question. How many deals have you closed to date?
Closed 4 deals closed and 6 in the pipeline by the end of June. So there'll be 10 total.
For clarity, what you mean by in the pipeline, are these 6 deals under agreement?
Yeah, the 3 closing this month and 3 next month.
But they're under agreement, which is a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
deal.
Right,
Okay,
correct.
So I'm going to use 10 because there's a little bit of fall off. You may, one of those that are under agreement could fall off for who knows crazy reasons, but you're 10. And Steve, where are you?
Closed one closing next month.
So that's 1 + 1, that's 2. And I put you there. 1 + 1 is 2. And Teresa, how about you?
Can I just ask a question? Is this from our date of start or from January?
No, January.
Okay, so I have closed 1 and 1 closing next week and 1 closing in June.
2 is 3.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to hold off on mine for a minute because I'm going to share some things because because there is a lag. I don't measure closings. I mean, we do when I measure under agreements as closed. And so, but I'll show you what that looks like. So, so the question is, just you look at it there, question is, so, and there's not right or wrong. It's really not. It is what it is. Rodney, of course, you're coming to a whole new market. I mean, that in itself is a challenge, but that's what you set out. And so the question is, what do you do? So, Rodney, and there are always reasons. And if you look at you, Tommy, you've got 10 out of 36. So you're you're 10, 20, 30, a third of the way through. We are, let's just say we're a third of the way through the year. So, through May, roughly. January, February, March, April. Just through April, it's a quarter. And if through April, Tommy, you should have 9 deals through April, and you're 10. So Tommy, I think I just look at rough numbers. You know, you're tracking. You're a little behind, but you're tracking, right? Do you agree with me?
Yeah, I'm definitely behind on the units. The volume is 50-50. Yeah, I'm behind, but I'm behind, but it's still within grasp. It hasn't gone
Yeah.
away yet.
Yeah, no, that's it. So that's just my point. So I'm just giving you credit, and rather than looking at volume, because some look at volume, some look at the deals. The things we can mostly influence is easier, I think, my opinion, is deals, closings, because when you got to go after the volume, it means you need to get, you know, either get the volume, you either need more deals or you need higher average price. But
Right.
just you look at deals. So Tommy, you're there, and Steve, you know, so we're in first quarter, you know, so you're going to do, you know, I can't work with 10. I don't like to work with 10. I like to work with 12. Just because it's easier to calculate, you know, so, you know, let's just say that you could do 3, you got to do 3 a quarter. Oh, let's do, Steve, you're not too far, you know, you got 2, you're a little behind.
Yep.
And Teresa, same, you're about the same. You've got 3, you know, 3, 6, 9, you're okay. So you're on track. Now, that's the first thing. And the question is, if I ask you the next question, and this is I'm prompting this to get information. So Rodney, you've got a goal of 8, you've got 0. What do you think you're going to be? Where do you think, based on what you got going on, what you're doing, what do you think your numbers can be by the end of the year? How many will you have closed? You got some catching up to do.
Right. I'm thinking I might fall somewhere 5 or 6.
Okay, 5 to 6. And Tommy, where do you think you are? You're 10 now. Where do you think you are compared will be at the end of the year to your 36?
I still think if I catch a good streak, I can get there. But if not, you know, I should be at least 90% of it, 80% of it.
So do you have a plan to get there? Or do you, it sounds like if you get a streak, but you plan it, you don't think what I heard you say, you're not sure how you're gonna get there. So let's just gonna say it's 90%. And you know, that's or if I said 80, if I said 8, that's 80%, that's 10% of 3. You know, that's around 8 deals short. Let's just say you're gonna be 5 deals short. Let's just say you're gonna do 30 deals. Is that, you know, based on what you got going on, do you think that's realistic? Do you think that's probably where you'll end up unless you have a miracle?
Yeah, 30, even now 30 is a little optimistic. Yeah, 30 is
Okay. So I'm trying to
silver
do is to
medal.
I'm trying to get real. And then the next thing is, so Steve, what about you? You've got 2 out of 10. What do you think you're gonna finish up the year at?
I'd be happy with 8.
Okay. Do you think you can achieve 8?
I got 3 possibles coming, so we'll see.
But it's really the question, what's after the 3 possibles, right?
Right.
Because we're looking out the end of the year. So, but you also say it's 8. And how about you, Teresa?
I'm feeling like the same as Steve. I guess it's, you know, my hope is to get a listing because
Yeah.
I have buyers and I feel like if I could get a couple of listings, then that would help me get there.
Yeah. And if I, and without, and so, okay, so that's right. So at the moment, by the way, just as anybody, does anybody, I don't need to know what it is, do any of you actually have goals? We don't need it now for dollar sales?
No.
volume.
Volume, yeah.
My original goal was 15 million.
Okay, I'm just gonna plug that 15 million. Okay, and anybody got any goals for gross commission, GCI?
300.
Okay, anybody else? I guess, you know, okay. And let me just ask you, Tommy, how about profitability? Do you look at that?
I don't look at it that much. I know KW takes 25 grand no matter what, and then what my expenses are. So out of my own pocket, it's probably 25 to 30K. So whatever that is, I just add it up at the end of the year. I probably
don't
have
have-
to,
So you don't have a
Track.
goal. You don't have a goal for that.
no, not really, not for the profitability part.
Okay. And so, ideally, and, let's not talk about things that, are so out there. But if you had these four, I mean, we have a goal of 55 deals. A total sales volume is 30 million. Our gross commission income, shit, what's the number here? Is 300, I think I want to say 360,000. And then our net profit is 40%. Now, I can rattle that off. I mean, there's budgets, there's numbers behind it. But what's interesting is the 40% is if you're running a well-oiled machine, that's what your profit ought to be. So I built a budget. The question is how we doing is another thing, but that's what you go after. All right, now let me just kind of take it to had it there. So I was close. So I did. So there's the 55, there's our 30. Here's my assumptions that the average is this. I would not 360, 750 with
Yeah.
knowing that my expenses based on Keller Williams, the model, the economic model should be 60%. So 40% should be profit and 40% of 750 is 300. So don't focus on this stuff, but just to say, this is the technique. And it took me a long time to even be using these. I would see them and my eyes would gloss over and go, I can't think of that. I just need to know if I can close deals. Everything else will come, but that's where it's at. So that's it. So so we've talked, and I wanted to do this up front. So I have I have this information from each of you already, and we got it just through discussion. We didn't need to get through the details. We got it. Now, here's the question: is in order to make these numbers, in order to, let's just now say the numbers are new. So Rodney, in order to make those 5 to 6, Tommy to get the 30, Steve and Teresa to get the 8 and the 8, and for me to get the 55, and we're all behind. So I should say original, we're behind. What do we need to do going forward? Because you can't affect going back. What do we need to do going forward to ensure that you're going to make those numbers? And the answer is lead generation. This is the time on task. It's, what Keller's saying, you need to lead generate. There are some standards out there. There should be 3 to 4 hours a day. There's all kinds of things, but you need to lead generate consistently. And by the way, the big one, as I put this in red, appointments. So just a question, I don't want to get into how many hours lead generation, but do each of you track the number of appointments you're actually holding? What I mean by appointments, so you're out lead generating, and out of that comes, boy, this is a possibility. And boy, I got a buyer who wants to work with me, and I will go on a buyer appointment, and they will actually agree to work with you. You might not get a buyer agreement, but there's a commitment they'll work with you. Or you go on a listing appointment and you get it. Do any of you actually track your appointments that you go on?
Is a
So can I
show.
ask you?
Okay.
Go ahead, Rodney.
No, I was saying that, no, I haven't recently.
Okay. Hey, Tommy, what were you going to say?
Does a showing considered an appointment, like a person you're already working with?
No.
New business only.
No, this is an order. What I'm saying is the showing gets you there, but no, this is a list. This is called either a seller listing appointment or a buyer listing appointment. It's a commitment, because once you have an appointment, then the question is, after those appointments, how many of those people have written a contract, either signed a listing agreement or signed a commitment to work with you as a buyer or a buyer. or a
Well,
buyer
I
contract.
guess I quantify it a little differently. My model at this point, unfortunately, especially for 2021, has gravitated almost solely towards Zillow. And I don't make them sign contracts for better or worse. I mean, I've been, I
Okay.
wouldn't say I've been burned, but my point is this, is that I take somebody out a couple of times, 1, 2, 3 times, we write up contracts. I mean, I put in multiple, I mean, we all have, right? Multiple buyers, multiple offers from different buyers. So the contracts, I guess, are being written. They're not always being accepted, but we're writing contracts.
So Tommy, let me ask you the question a different way. You have 10 deals in the pipeline, 4 closed and 6 under agreement. So you have signed 10 contracts.
Right,
Right. Now, in addition to that, I'm sure you have some buyers that you're working with that you can't find anything for.
right.
And how many would you say of you have of those?
At this point, probably 3 serious people, like really serious. We're pounding the pavement every day.
So think about this. I'm gonna put back into it. So you've had 10 appointments, and we know you've had at least 10 because they're under agreement. I mean, you've got people, and then you have another 3 people who buyers that are doing showings. And how many people have you met with for buyer appointments where then you met with them, but they're not so serious? Or they're kind of Luke.
I don't know, maybe another 3.
Okay, so that's 3.
Put them in the B
and-
category.
Okay, and then how many listing appointments have you gone on to date in order to?
No, 0. It's been awful on the listing side. I lost a listing in March, right around spring, and it kind of made me salty, and just threw my hands up in the air and kind of just
Okay.
focused on the low hanging fruit for me, which is the Zillow leads, and just,
Yeah.
you know.
So guys, so if you're okay, Tommy, if I use your information as an
Go right ahead.
example, just for illustration. So what I would be saying, if I said, how many appointments have you gone on this year to get your 10 deals? You've gone on 16 appointments, right? 16 appointments.
I would double it. I would say 20. There's probably been 20 appointments that I've,
Okay. So you've got 20 appointments. So your conversion ratio is 50%. You've closed, I mean, you've closed or have under agreement 10 deals, and you've gone on 20 appointments. 10, 16, 4. So your closing ratio, by the way, which is pretty good. See, and so in order to forecast, you can kind of wing it and go, I'm just going to work hard. I'm just going to work hard, and I'm going to just keep my nose to the grindstone, and I'm going to talk to people, and I'm going to get there. That's one way. Or you can become more intentional and say, because right now, Tommy, your ratio is 50%. And so that if you want to close 30 deals this year, you need to, based on your past, you need to have, and by the way, you need to get 20 more deals. You need to have 40 more appointments based on what you've done to date. I mean, and you can measure that, and you could tell me, but if you knew you had needed 40 appointments, so does everybody understand that concept? Is Tommy wants to close 30. He's already closed 10. In order to close the 10, he's had to have 20 appointments. So every other appointment he gets, or half the appointments he goes on, he gets. And so if he's closed 10 and he wants to close another 20, and his appointments are 50% successful, he needs 40 appointments between now and the end of the year, new ones, in order to close an additional 20 deals.
Sounds about
Yeah.
right.
Now, let me just ask a question. Everybody is a little behind, more or less. And so let me just use you as the example, Tommy. So question is, would it be worthwhile? question. Would it be worthwhile, based on what's happened, because you got a good track record, is to actually, when you're out there, just daily, simply just capture, it's not, capture the number of appointments you're having. And to make sure that, because you could divide it, if you say you need 20 more appointments. So look at where we are. We're at let's say we're in June, July, August, September, October, November, December. We got roughly 7 months left. And you need, in 7 months, if you operate the way you are, in 7 months, if everything stays same, you need 40 appointments in 7 months. That means 7, 4, 7, 5, you need 5 appointments a month. If I
It's
want to
like
take
one-
it,
Well, yeah, it's like a little over one a week, right?
you got
So-
it. Okay, does everybody, and don't just, you just say yes, do you understand that, Tommy's situation? Is if he could stay on track and get 40 appointments in 7 months, translate that into, a roughly 5 appointments, 40 appointments through the year, 5 appointments a month, around one a week. And if he got those, he should get his 30 deals. If he doesn't do that, he might get the 30 deals, but he won't know until it's too late. What they call is a thing they call leading indicators and trailing indicators. Your closed deals, your 10 closed deals are called the lagging or the lagging indicator. You can't affect that. The leading indicator is, what do you need to do in order to get those 20 deals? It's measure your appointments. So first, Rodney and Steve and Teresa, are you following the idea of if Steve, if he could get 1 appointment a week, based on what he's done to date, he's probably going to get his 30 deals. Do you all follow that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And do you think that you could do the same to yourself? It just the same way, if we took Teresa, I didn't ask you and I won't because,
No, that's okay.
no, but I won't because it just take time. But if you get it, you could apply the same. So what you've done, so Teresa, with you've got closed 4. You've closed a total of 3. You want to get 8. And so how many appointments have you had to go on in order to get the 3? That's a rhetorical question. If you knew that, you
Mhm.
could figure out how many appointments you had to go on in order to get the 8. It's not perfect, but it's a way to build some accountability into your system by looking at this appointment is going to be a better projection. And if you find out, Tommy, that you got to do that, and if you looked at it for the next 4 weeks and you didn't get 4 appointments, you ought to be concerned about whether you're going to get your 30 deals because you knew what you need to get.
Right.
So let me ask Tommy, do you think that, can you see the value in doing this? Truly, I want,
The value in actually tracking it, yeah, I mean, because it's like a cheat sheet whether or not you're gonna get there. So yeah, if you don't have it written down, to try to memorize all this would be kind of difficult.
and you don't want to write all, because you don't have to write everything. And I'm going to share with you the kind of the precious few things, but that's just it. And so if you knew what it took, would you do it? And my question for you is, if I ask you, okay, Tommy, class is all over, you got enough out of this. Would you be willing to? Do you think you learn enough here that you'll do this?
Yeah, that's my goal. My intention is to do it.
And why won't you do it?
I'm lazy.
Okay, you're lazy. What else?
Yeah. I'm more reactionary lately than I am purposeful. So I'm just,
Okay,
I mean, it's like the Zillow is like I said, it's like real estate crack, it's like, those appointments are actually easy. If the phone rings and I go meet the person, that's an appointment, right? And my phone should be ringing at least once or twice a week. So the potential's there. It's just, the Zillow is the key to the conversion with the Zillow is getting them out. You got to get them
I
out.
got you.
So I'm good at that. I can get them out. So, but that's reactionary, Bob. I got to actually be more purposeful and intentional and do the lead. I mean, It's almost embarrassing if I can't get one a week. I mean, because I'm not doing any real lead gen. I'm waiting for the phone to ring.
Okay, and that, if it, by the way, if it works for you now, you are doing lead gen. See, you're just doing it a different way.
Yeah, I'm paying through the nose for it.
I do, by the way, I just cut out my Zillow leads. It's just so expensive, but if it works for you, that's okay. I'll have to have a separate conversation with you because I'm just curious, because you sounds like you're doing better than we're doing. We're getting leads from Zillow, but when I do the analysis, the cost to get those leads compared to the number of closings I get, for me, isn't paying off, and could be something I'm doing wrong, but that's the point. So my thought is here, just as a simple thing, if you, and I'm using you as the example, Tommy, so that the others can kind of pay attention, say, what can you learn from this? So if I said to you, if you're on the phone and it's like taking orders, by the way, I assume you're a Premier agent.
Yeah,
And so it goes into a database, goes into your inbox.
I don't even use that because I'm afraid that if I ever pull the plug with Zillow, I won't have access to any of those. So everything I get comes into Follow Up Boss. I pay for a CRM too, so that's another
No.
$70.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, someplace, you've got those leads someplace,
Yes.
right? No.
Yeah, they're all going to my CRM.
Okay, so they're in your CRM. And so here's what I'd ask you. If they're all in the CRM, if you could daily or during the week, you could go into your CRM and, what are you using for the CRM?
Follow Up Boss.
Good, simple in there. If you could go in the CRM and check off for all the leads that you got from Zillow, let's say that's your total. If you could just check off how many leads you got, because that's your leads, and how many of those turned into contracts, how many are working with you. And if it's 50%, and you might know this off the top of your head, but you want to know, in the past, it is 50%, but if you could do it going forward and you saw that dropping off, that's your indicator that you're going to be in trouble. Simply, if the data is there.
It's not that 50% number is a little misleading because it's way less. It's the 50% is the conversion if I actually meet with them, but I would say 90% of them you don't meet with.
Okay,
That makes
so
sense.
Tommy, what you've just raised, now you're peeling off another layer of the onion. And I'll show you this one here. There's another factor in here, in between lead generation hours and appointments held. The next thing is appointment set or contacts made. And that's the detail. And by the way, and so this is where the rubber meets the road, is that I'm trying to keep it really simple. And so you could measure that, but now you could know what's the conversion rate from a appointment set or people you've spoken to appointments set or appointments held. And I'll show you just for purpose, but that gets to be sophisticated. My point here is you need to measure something. And if you only measure the closed deals, what happens is when you only measure the closed deals, when it's too late, and if you're not on track, it's too late to catch up, because the closed deals happen after they're under agreement. And if you track under agreement, that'd be a better way to do it. So the idea is you need to measure some basic things. And I'm going to show you a couple of ways to do this one here, some tools that we use. So I think we're in agreement here. And Tommy, you just raised the point that I avoided there because I didn't want to freak you out and go, okay, you need to look at your number of lead generation hours. And if you really want to get specific, the next thing is you need to look at how many dials you're making an hour. This is for someone not like you, Tommy, who's not waiting for the order, but someone who's proactively making calls. So you need to know that you need to put the number of hours. In fact, let me jump forward and let me show you. Here's the answer. So Tommy, this is what's funny about it all. This is, I think, where you were going and everybody. So if you look at this, and I'm only showing you to show you, this is really how you figure it out. If you want to, so Tommy, this is yours. Well, it's different, but if you wanted to close, 40 deals in the year, you need to, and you start back with number of hours lead generate, you need to lead generate 400 hours. This is not someone who's taking orders. You need to do 20,000 dials. You need to make 6,000 contacts. You need to set 600 appointments. You need to hold 480 of those. You need to get contracts signed for 96. You need to accept offers of 57 and this, and it's all based on these conversion rates. So this is, I think, what you were talking about, Tommy? Does this chart, do you understand what this chart's about?
Yeah, I do. It's a lot of work, it looks like.
Oh, no, it's a lot of work capturing it, but the reality is this is what, and by the way, we could use yours because with your conversion rates are very different. It'd be interesting if we took, and if I took offline, I took all these numbers and I said, we made this to 40 deals and you tell me how many, and don't start with dials, you don't dial. How many contacts do you make through your Zillow, for the year? And then we're gonna say, okay, if you get, let's say you get 2 a week, how many of those do you need to convert to appointments in order, what percentage need to convert to appointment, what percent need to get to appointments held? But this is a lot of work, but the work is in the activity. And you're doing it. Each of you are doing it. It's different for every one of you. These aren't your numbers, but for you, Rodney, and for you, Teresa, and for you, Steve, I assume you're all doing outbound lead generation. You are doing this stuff. The question is, how much lead generation are you doing to get the number of deals you want to do? So I'm just saying this, I'm using this is what you were saying, Tommy, this is right. This is right on. This is how it's done. This is essentially what's going on in the background. You may not be measuring it, but this is what's causing, this is what it takes in order to close number of deals. And so what would be interesting is if you're so inclined, why wouldn't you want to know to get, Rodney, even you, Tommy, is to work back into this, and each of you to take just a short bit of time. It doesn't have to be precise, but just answer these questions to get your 30 closings, to get your 8 closings or your 5 to 6, Rodney, is how many contacts, how many appointments you need to set. And ultimately, I focus it's on appointments held, could be contracts signed, but would you find any value to actually at least taking a cut at knowing this? Like if we could sit down and take a half an hour, and you could get this information to know for each of you based on how you lead generate and what your conversions have been roughly. Would it be interesting? Would it be useful to have all this information?
I would love it.
I didn't see, I lifted, I forgot. So who's that? Was that you, Tommy?
That was me, Teresa. I'm Teresa, I think.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I just missed it. Yeah. And so I don't know if you're going to do anything with it beyond this, but it's a start. It's just, if you wanted to know that, I'd take half an hour with you. Give me a call. We'll put up a blank sheet. We'll create one for you.
I'd appreciate that.
And it all, but the rubber meets the road. You need to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't do it, you won't get it.
So Bob, who are the dials that you have on this template here? Are these to your sphere? Are these to expired? Are these to FISBO?
Good. They're Tommy, they're blended. They're because this is, it's a blended number, and it's not precise for me because we do expireds, we do sphere calls, we do past clients, and the number, so here's what's interesting, you mentioned it. What's put view, you only work with one segment called Zillow, and that's great because you know what your conversion rates are. If we did this, if I want to do it with Teresa, I'm going to say, Teresa, tell me who you're calling, and I'm going to ask her to say, tell me what all your conversion rates are when you deal with your sphere compared to if you're calling expireds versus the other. So this is a blended number. but it's rough enough. And who do you get your best, where do you get most of your business? In fact, let me just ask you, Tommy, you get most of yours from Zillow, yeah?
Yeah, especially right
But-
now.
Teresa, where do you get most of your business from?
So far, we're family and friends.
You got it. It's your sphere. How about you, Steve?
Spare.
Sphere. How about you, Rodney?
I just bought $1, Mojo.
Well, no, Mojo is the technology.
Right,
Who
so,
you calling?
I'm doing circle prospecting,
Okay, so yours is it's
Geo farming?
What?
Geo-farming.
Geofarm. Okay, so yours is that. So Tommy, to answer your question, what I would do with each of these, I wouldn't go look at it all. I would say, Teresa, let's put together this based on your sphere and let's see what it gives you. And then the question is, how big is your sphere? And then I say, Terry, okay, if you want to now expand, what's the next segment you want to go in? She said, gee, I want to go geofarming. On Rodney, we'll run his numbers based on geofarming. What's nice about yours, Rodney, is that on your geofarming, the dials you can measure the answer rate, you can measure how many contacts you made. So you can get how many were bad numbers. So you could get that and get it more precise. And so this would tell you how to, in fact, for you, if your goal is 8 and today you got 0 and you think you get 5 or 6, the question is that I'd ask, why do you have 0 now? My thought is if it's because of geofarming, you're not doing enough of it. So the
I
question.
got a couple of buyers in the pipeline, but they're not ready. So
Yep,
I didn't
gotcha.
even,
So the question for you could be, how do you increase? It's increase the number of amount of geofarming you do, or you go add another segment. The question is, how do you get your numbers? And for Tommy, yours is pretty easy as well. So I'll just offer anybody wants to just you could do it on your own, but it gets a little hairy. But it works it. And part of it is pulling out the numbers. You're going to say, gee, I'm not sure. Well, let's just estimate it. So if you had it, might just help you. And so Tommy, when you just look at if you get 2 or 3 a week, so Shad, you get 2 or 3. How many leads do you get from Zillow a week?
A good week, maybe 3 or 4
So on the average, you get 2 then.
a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least 2 a week.
Okay, so let's just say it's 3. No, I have to say,
Yeah, I'm
Let's
trying
say-
to figure out what it is.
let's say it's 4. Let's just say it's 4. This is an example. And of the 4 you get in, you say a lot of them they don't do. You don't convert 50%. You convert 50% of the ones that you go out with.
You meet,
So the
yeah.
question is, of the 4 a week that come in, what percentage of those 4 do you actually meet?
I mean, it gets more intricate. If it's a live transfer kind of lead, that they want to actually set the appointment and go out and see the place immediately.
Yeah, no, I got it. But
So-
just think about across the board, just roughly. I know some of they're all different, but in the
Best
average,
case scenario, 1/3. Best case scenario, 1/3.
so
maybe
1 out of
25.
3.
Yeah, 1 out of
So-
3, or more like 1 out of 4. But
So, okay. And so of the now of the 4 that you go out with, 50%, based on what you said before, actually buy something.
we'll eventually, but that's the challenge in this market, is that I'm not worried about. I have buyers from just years of Zillow leads, right? It's just that the inventory.
You got is 4. But think about it. Your numbers are, contacts made, you need to make 4 contacts a week. And out of the 4 contacts a week, you're going to set 25%, you're going to set appointments with. And let's hope that you set them, they all show up, but they may not. You're going to hold 1 out of 4. And then of the 1 out of 4, how many are going to sign a contract? 50%. And then assume that 50%. So it's a numbers thing. The whole idea of this is to get away from winging it and actually begin to get some things in place, and not to spend all your time measuring what you're doing. It's what you're doing. What you need to do is be having discussions, having appointments, negotiating, but this will tell you about how much. And I think this will tell you, Tommy, if we did this with you quickly, this will tell you whether you're going to get your 30 closings this year or your additional 20 if you're getting 4 leads a week from Zillow. Maybe it might say you need to have to increase that, of course, the cost.
Well, ideally, the Zillow would actually be the gravy, right? The icing on the cake. And I'd be working in my business the way I'm supposed to, with working my sphere, number one.
Okay.
And then
I didn't want to mention that. Yeah.
Oh, I already know.
Right.
That's why, before everybody got on the call, I was asking about the coaching, because like I have my own worst nightmare. If I was doing the stuff that I'm supposed to be doing, which is, the 50 dials a day, whatever, the lead gen, this wouldn't be a challenge. It'd be easy, right? If everybody does the work. If you do the work, the results will be there. But like I said, I'm not doing it. So.
But part of it is you're right. And so the coaching, by the way, the coaching itself won't do it. It's being held. It's you holding yourself accountable with some help and with some tools. And that's what this is about, is that, the question is, because I didn't raise it, I'm just listening to you going, geez, he's getting 30 deals and I haven't got into, so how much is Zillow costing you? What's your real expenses? Are you really making any money here? But that's just it. You're right. That's the gravy, because you should be able to get more deals done at much lower cost than you're doing with Zillow. And so that's a conversation. That's exactly right. So you got all the right questions to ask, is to, when you ask about, the dial rate, how many dials you need to do, it depends on who you're dialing and whether you're dialing or whether you're texting or who knows. So
but you can't make the 50 dials an hour to your sphere. Like you could do the geo farming or the expired 50, because 90% of them aren't picking up. So exactly go through that. But if you're calling, you got 1 or 2 people that like to talk like that, there goes an hour on 2 dials.
So here's the thought on that. You're absolutely right. And so when you ask me about what's that, 40,000 dials, what's the assumptions? It's an aggregate. So what you do is, when you set your goals, so what I would suggest you'd want to do to get at this, you're right. Yeah, you would spend more time, and it wouldn't just be on, you never put them on an auto dialer. You may put them on text, blast them text messages, say, hey, hey, Bob, I haven't talked in a while. I want to catch up, let me know. People respond. So what I'd suggest you do is that I'd say, have a conversation. I say, so where 30 deals are going to come. And if you're confident with that, and the way I'd say get confident is plug these numbers in. And then I'd say, okay, Tommy, let's have a conversation about your sphere. When, how much time do you first have to put into your sphere? And let's be realistic, is how much time will you spend talking to your sphere? And because your conversion ratios are all different, let's build a lead generation model for your sphere. And what you'd like to do, and what Keller Williams says, is you want to start to shift. You want to start to reduce the amount of your business from Zillow and get more from your sphere and past clients, because the cost to do that is better and the conversion rate is higher. Yep. So that's what, now I see, that's why you specifically, we all need it, but you could use the coach. And what you'd want that coach to do is to do what we're just doing here. Treat this as a mini coaching session. I'm trying to coach you, if you will. That's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to get you to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and get you now to say, okay, get a coach. And this is what you would do. And now you look at this and say, gee, am I committed to it? Okay, we're close to the time, but and I just want to know if anybody, although it may shift off, but I want to show you a couple of things more. We have, and by the way, none of you want to get into this thing here. We have systems that we use that we can do every day when we off lead generation. At the end of the day, we'll all go in and just fill in this form. It's an online form that we've created that Suzanne, our lead generation manager, does. Capture your hours of lead generation, capture your dials, capture your contacts made. We follow the other ones, not so important, but we capture this. And then we actually say for any appointments, anything we call up, how many appointments just set today, how many held, how many consultation, how many buyer seller sign, we capture this. And this is essentially populating that sheet we just talked about so that if you will, take a look for a minute, this is now our stats. This is the 30,000. Oops, shoot. This is the third back. And I'm saying you're not going to do this now, but this is shit. This is actually what we do. And I can look at every month how we're doing. I can, my annual, take a look, my annual closings is 55. It's 5 a month. It's 30, it's 2,500, volume. I can look at it, and I can look at January, February, March. I can look at how am I doing against my conversion rate goals actual. Now I can do this because I have a team, and I have admin who can do this, but that only makes sense if you got volume. If you have if you got a volume of stuff. But for you guys, the only thing that I think the big things to track is essentially, forget any of this. You all have goals. I just heard it. Track your actuals. And if you can only track one thing, you want to measure, but I'd be tracking appointments held. If you track 3 things daily, you would do it. That's essentially it. And I want to just show you one thing here that's just kind of work in progress, is because of what's happened. And just bear with me just for a minute. All that stuff I just shared with you, lots of detail. There's a lot in the background. Let me just share with you, if you had just a few minutes, I'm going to share with you a real simple technique for you guys from everything we just said. And if you need more explanation, I'll take it with you. Everything I showed you, all of this detailed stuff, essentially, here's my goals. My goals are 55. I rounded to 60. Here's my goals for every month. Here's my actual closings year to date at some point. And then I could put in my projected closings. And what I simply do is take a look at all these things in green. These are all my closings, January, February, March. We started slow. And April and May, and here's the projections. And I actually now project, I take my pipeline and say, the ones in green are done deals. They will close. They're under agreement or they're already closed. And so I can go to the bank with them. The ones that I'm not sure of that I'm working on are 27 Marion. This is a buyer. These are a couple listings. And if you did this, and you don't have to do this daily, but if you took all of your deals, like Tom, you took all of your closings, plugged them in when you close what month, and then plugged in all the buyers you're working with that are high probability they're gonna close. And then you said, here's the ones that are the maybe. Remember you said there is a whole bunch of maybes. You said you got some of the maybe. If you plug this in, this is a simple visual way that you can just look every day as you're going in there. I got a new lead. When do I think they're going to close? And you just total up the numbers. It's a simple visual way to look at what's going on. I know I just quickly got through this. Is this obvious what I've shared with you?
Yes, it's a lot to process, right? But
No, it is. And I apologize.
no,
But
don't
this is-
apologize.
I did this morning because I expected when we are going to come in, I wouldn't have, people who are doing huge volumes. And I will come back I'll simplify it. But if each one of you had one of these, in fact, Teresa, tell you what I'm going to do. When you like to meet and kind of plug in your conversions, your little thing, I will do that with you. And I will work with you to create one of these for you.
I'd appreciate that. Thank
See
you.
in front of you where you're going to get your business. And the real question is, what you've closed through May, but what about June, July, August, September, October? Where are they coming from? So I'll be glad to do that. If anybody wanted to do one of these,
Thank
because you
you.
have to almost go through it. I did this, by the way, it was a 20-minute exercise. So
Yeah, I'd love it. Thank you.
any guys, was this useful?
Yes, thank you, Bob.
Very, yeah.
Yes, Bob, thank you.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, it's the, you know, I wish it was something you could take and just run with, but it takes more than that, because I know it's like drinking out of a fire hose. You got all this information on what do I do, so
Mhm.
think about it. And I tell you what, if you're serious about this and you need a little help kind of getting it kick-started, I'll give you any of the tools we have. I'll help you create them just to get you going if it would be useful to you.
Thanks very much.
Appreciate it.
Okay, Teresa, you just shoot me a message, call me, and just let's get a time going.
Yeah, definitely. I'm actually, I know your heart's gonna bleed. I'm down the Cape now because my husband's staying in the deck and I had to get the dog out of there, but I'll be back at the beginning of the week and I'd love to set up an appointment with you.
Just on a phone, a Zoom appointment.
Oh, perfect. That would be
Just on
great.
Zoom.
Okay,
Okay,
sounds good. Thank you.
thank you, folks.
All right, Bob.
Good week,
Thanks a
talk
lot.
soon.
Thank you, Bob.
See ya. Hey, Yee, I didn't know you were there. Hey, Yee. Hello, Yee. Hello, Yee.